subscribe.
The Angry Ops Guy podcast, featuring Mike and Christina, pushing the ops machine forward no matter the grind. Real talk, real stories, and hard truths from two battle-tested pros.
Oh, what a week in ops, and we're back. Welcome back to the Angry Ops Guy podcast. I'm the Angry Ops Guy, Mike Galtieri, and I've got the lovely Christina Pilarski of CIPR with me. Christina, what's going on? How has your week in ops been?
It's like a loaded question. My week in ops has been eventful. I feel like, what I will say. So I'm going to segue to what we're going to talk about today, meetings, because every Friday at CIPR in our morning huddle, which we will unpack momentarily, Jay from our team asks everyone around the Zoom room two questions. What went well this week? And what could have gone better? That is how he ends our Friday, and we all talk about it. It's a little bit of like a kumbaya, but also like a good chance to be like, okay, what could have gone better? Let's troubleshoot. Let's talk about it as a team. So for me, what went well this week? I feel like clients were great, had great conversations. I feel like the team is being very productive in a few clients that I had maybe like doused with gasoline and in hopes that the team would see the
Dousing
flames.
clients with gasoline. What is your AR out of whack, and you're putting people on fire, or what?
No, like the project itself, I was like maybe shooting some flares to be like, pay attention to this project and get some work done here. So I
And
feel
if
like
everybody wants to know, Christina is wearing like a yellow mustard orange shirt right now, so this is really applicable. So she chose violence today to start her Thursday.
I did choose violence. And then what could have gone better? I feel like, from a operations perspective, there's one thing I will throw out there, and this is not an HR podcast, but there does probably come a size in an organization where the ops team needs to think about HR. Anyways, we'll leave that there. That's how my week has been.
Okay, so let's talk meetings, because that's exactly what everybody wants when they get this podcast. So how do those meetings go on Fridays? Are they therapeutic, or does it just open a can of worms where you and Peter are like, we've got to navigate this? Like, does it give your team a forum to really feel like they can express the good and the bad? Because EOS has a very similar thing, right? That the L10 starts with that kind of weekly segue, which is, what is one piece of good business information from last week and what's one positive piece of personal information. So that's how we do it in EOS. But again, what's the good and what went wrong? How has your team been open with that, or are they timid to express the good and the bad and the ugly? Or what have you and Peter seen as you adopted this?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a little bit about trying. For me, it's more the what good happened. Because often in agency life, we get to a Friday and it's, oh, thank God, I'm tired of this place. I'm tired of these people. So for me, there was like the reverse. Okay, let's end the week with everyone talking about something positive. So for me, that was the unlock of asking those two questions, because let's be honest, in agency life, we can list the things that could have gone better very easily. So I like that. And I would say, yes, I think some would say therapeutic is probably a strong word, but I feel like there's some camaraderie. Like typically there will be one issue that went wrong for everyone, right? Whether that's something, I think 2 weeks ago, it felt like nobody slept well. And that was something that, the first person said, I really didn't sleep well this week. And if that could have gone better, probably a bunch of things. So there almost becomes this, we get a little glimpse of personal life, which is important, because in a remote team, we often don't get that, because I would say, I don't know, 50% of the time it's something good or bad that happened in a personal life rather than work life. Mm-hmm. And then the other piece is like equalization. Like for me, hey, wow, the boss didn't sleep well and I didn't sleep well. Twinsies. But like there's this okay, we're all coming to the table at the same level, the same issues. And then I would say when it's client related and I wish this could have gone better, there is the ability to talk about it. For me, for sure. I think some probably give a whatever response, but I go into those meetings really honestly. I know Peter goes in really honestly. So at a leadership level, we're trying to set the example of like, this isn't like a shameful thing. This is a like, hey, I screwed this up this week, or the client wrote us an email at 10 p.m. and I jumped on it and probably should have waited till morning. Or I feel like lets people see a worker side to the ownership team, the leadership team that maybe they don't necessarily see or appreciate during the week.
Hey, Christina and Peter, just wanted to let you know that I deleted the database of our #1 client and I chose not to tell you, and I can't figure out how to get it restored because we don't have a backup. Well, thank you for your update this week, Tim. We'll talk now. We'll talk on Monday.
I'll be logging
It
off.
may, it may produce things that you don't want to know.
It's true. But I feel like again, going back to like good meetings, hopefully
Sorry.
that would have come out earlier. I mean, that's a whole cultural piece, but I don't know. I do like the Friday meetings. What I will say, okay, so let's back up because I feel like I really jumped right into it. CIPR has like come a long way in how we meet and how we do things. One thing that we do is basically a stand up every morning. That we call it the team huddle.
Like a huddle kind of analogy that a lot of people choose to do, that 15 minutes with the group right at first, like 9 a.m. kind of thing.
Exactly. So we're 8:45, 7:45 for the folks that are in BC, everyone online. For me as an ops manager, it's a little bit of okay, everyone's in the office now. Right? Like it does mark the beginning of the workday and gives those who need the extra incentive to be up and at 'em in the morning to be there because they need to be. So 5 days a week, we have a different chair for every day. We've been through lots of iterations in this where I led the huddles every day. Well,
so the chair is who leads the huddle.
yeah. And so nobody wants to hear from me all the time. And frankly, I don't want to be on the hook all the time.
Well, let's be honest, we need a break sometimes, right? It's like your mind and your mouth are always going, whether it's client facing, internal decision making. It's like, again, it's nice to be a spectator sometimes and observe the room versus facilitating the room.
Totally. We then had our champion of the grind for a long time.
The grind.
So that's like the work, right? Like that it was Brad. He used to lead it, which was good because he was in charge of not operations, but like client work. He was kind of that champion. So he would lead it, and that was great. Worked well. But again, you get so stagnant if you're leading a 15-minute huddle every morning and you get to 3-4 months in and it's like, anyone have anything else? No. Okay, have a good day.
It's boring, it's mundane, and it loses the energy that you're trying to create in that very small amount of time.
Totally. So for us now, it's every day has a different chair. Every probably 6 months I flip up those chairs, but it is a really interesting way to allow the team who doesn't necessarily, have a forum with the rest of the group. So Wednesdays we talk about, okay, week's halfway done. What are the 3 things you still have left to get done? That's like the round table quickly. And do you need anyone else's support?
You do all this in 15 minutes?
Yeah, because again, that's the point of that needs to be offline, right? So very EOS in terms of, okay, we're not here to
this isn't an open forum. I'm not saying that to compare to besides open, but it's not an open forum just to waste 2 hours in the morning because you have a platform to do it. This is we got to get through this, and let's go and have a good day, everybody.
Exactly. And it lets you understand the connection points and those, let's be honest. Some people are shy. Some people feel like they got to do it all themselves. And if I'm there and I go, okay, these are the 3 things I'm behind on, at Emily, I actually need your help with this. Perfect, stay on. I'll talk to you 15 minutes after this. We'll get it squared away. Or often it's me, right? Someone needs me for Christina. Did you happen to see this for approvals? Can you look at that by end of day? I got to get it to a client. Perfect. I can pull it up on my screen, have it there. When the meeting's over, I can prioritize it. So it isn't meant to solve problems. However, our Thursday huddles, we can bring one big team problem to the conversation. And that's what the full 15 minutes is about, is potentially solving an issue, potentially, and the issue doesn't have to be like an issue, but it could be, we have a new PR client or we have a new SEO client and we need to brainstorm about content. What are 5 ideas for a hardwood floor refinisher? So, and then now you get 8 people's brain power and a bunch of topics being thrown out, and the PMs there taking notes, and perfect. And maybe more than they could have done if they were sitting twiddling their thumbs and feeling uninspired. So we do have one huddle a week where we can bring, again, not a big, meaty, oh my God issue, but something where, hey, I need the collective brain power of the group. Let's spend 15 minutes hashing something out.
Impressive. I hope my team doesn't follow this podcast because they're going to think I'm a loser. So thank you, Christina, for mapping everything that WSI Commandex doesn't do. I don't have cool names for the week. I'm really like, good morning. Like I say it with like disdain. I'm like, good morning. And then it's like everybody else is like morning, 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 and we get going. But no, but again, that's the humor in it. But to your point, what you're allowing is also a platform for the second and third layer of kind of your hierarchy to have a voice. And like you said, you hit on some really important themes there. If you want to kind of start this with internal meetings, is people, you don't know if people have a voice until you give them an opportunity to express their voice. There will be people that are very sensitive and uncomfortable and timid, but you've got to get them out of that. Like, you don't know, like, I'm going to share an example of one of our team members, and I hope she doesn't mind me sharing her name. Her name is Taryn. Taryn's been with us now, I want to say 7, 8 years, content manager. And when I first met Taryn, she didn't want to say a word to anybody. Very, very quiet, reserved. I don't even think trusted her voice is probably a proper way to say it. And, she has not had a lot of client facing because she is a background worker and so forth. And I've been trying to motivate, encourage her to get out of her shell and so forth. And she did a presentation for us internally, an internal thing. And she was speaking about our content department and AI and this and that. And I pinged her afterwards and I said, Taryn, I have watched people at regional meetings. I have watched people at conventions. I have seen paid people come in to talk to us. And I said, you would blow people away if you had an opportunity to be one of those thought leaders to speak about content. And she was like, really? And I'm like, I'm not kidding. I'm the person that speaks on a stage or in a conference room for the agency over the last few years. And I said, you speak tremendously. So it's on her if she wants to take the next step, and she has to be comfortable. But I'm planting the seeds to say, you are way better than you think you are, dear. And if you want it and there's an opportunity, then we can showcase you, because you have so much good things to say. You just don't even know it. So to your point, it's like, as an ops manager, and maybe where I'm going with this tangent is, it's almost a way to allow yourself to learn and experience your internal team members in a different light than what you pay them to do and what you think they can put out, right? And by just, to your point, giving them a 5 or 15-minute platform to spearhead a meeting or a topic, and allow them to, again, I'll tell you another story. Our project manager, Lenny, and I don't think he'll be upset with me saying this. Like, I remember when I put him in his first project management meeting, once we promoted him, and he went in there, okay, no problem. And he came out to my office, his hands were trembling.
Yeah.
I said, what's the matter? He goes, that was scary as hell. And I said, what did you learn? And he says, I got through it. I said, every other meeting you do from this day forward will be easier than that first one. But he had to be dropped in the deep end to do it, because he had to find his voice so that Mike's not the dominant in the meeting. Because how is he going to get authority and respect and trust of clients as I transition work away from what I'm no longer required to do, and allow him the autonomy to build his own character, his own personality, and his own relationships with customers. Because the worst thing in ops is every single client, whether they're spending $25 or $25,000, is, hey, Christina, hey, Christina, hey, Mike, hey, Mike, hey, Mike. You got to trust these managers who are the people that do this work. And those individuals have to build relationships with our agency clients so that, again, Christina can focus on what she's doing, Mike can focus on what he needs to do. So I think it's very important to give that, and you do it way better than we do. We felt we were just wasting a ton of time. We've never done that kind of quarterback huddle.
Yeah.
We used to do a Friday afternoon production meeting, and you'd say, what the hell? I used to run production meetings at 3 or 4 o'clock on a Friday, and there was a reason for it. Number one, I wanted to make sure people were working.
Yeah.
Number two is, what I wanted to do is I wanted to get a gauge of what the next week was going to be at the end of this week.
Right.
So that I didn't have to get, sticker shock Monday at 1 p.m. Like you said, problems and issues and what are we working on? I wanted to have the schedule figured out. But then we went to EOS and L10s, and we realized that it was beneficial to kind of spearhead the week with an L10.
Yeah.
So that became our playground, if you will, in a really formatted, as you said, process way to identify those in a controlled manner and just eliminate, excess meetings. And I think that maybe that's an interesting segue is to saying like how meetings can be disastrous to productivity and efficiency of the workday. And maybe Christina, what we can do here, if you're up for it, is like we've talked about internal a little bit, but let's bridge internal and now external, meaning client-facing meetings, and talk about just the slog of, you got meetings after meetings, and all of a sudden you're sitting there going like, I've been on meetings for 7 hours, but you only had 3 hours of meetings booked in your calendar.
Yeah.
And just, do you want to start? You want me to start? Because I got so much to say on that, because I've screwed up so much. It's not even funny.
What I will say, and then I'm going to let you go for it, but like what I will say is personality, client type, like, is it a tier 1 client or a tier 3? I hate using tiers, but you know what I mean. Is it the highest paying guy on your roster this week? Or is it, the one who's maybe hopefully helping pay the phone bill, right? Like there are different tiers of clients. There are different personalities of clients. And then there are different times of month, right? Like I think coming in for me knowing, okay, this week is going to be a client heavy week. And I know that month after month. And then I have predictability in that. For me as an ops manager, it's about what don't I need to be at? Took me a long time to figure that out. That's probably something we can cover because I used to sit in every single meeting. And there are, time periods or eras of agency life where I am in many meetings because that's just where the team is at and I have to be at the table. And then there are times where I don't have a lot of client meetings because the team's feeling good. There's good trust. There's good clients. There's no fires. So it's like milk those while you have it. And then I think there are just the other factor in there is just client personality. There are some where it's like, I don't really want to even talk to you. I trust you. Run my program, go, thank you, give me the report, but like I probably wouldn't even read it. And then there are the ones who want to talk every week. And it's about giving them some parameters and giving them the space to do it.
But what we need to do though is let's bring it back to practical here, and the tips that we want to offer our fellow friends and ICs is we have to control our time. That's where we're going with this, because pre-COVID, agency culture, in office meetings, the dynamic was different. Christina, you know that better than anybody. It was so-and-so's coming in 30 minutes to an hour to your office. They're literally baking their whole morning or, midday around this meeting. And then they have to get back on the road. Like I'm in Toronto, the QEW is a parking lot. So it's like, if you're going to a meeting, that's your entire day. But what happened though with COVID was we saw the power of Zoom initially, and now MS Teams and all of these other tools to do what we're doing right now, which is doesn't matter where we are in the world, we can connect like that with the internet. And but what that's done is we've lost the respect of each other's time, because If
Totally.
you're in the boardroom and you got Christina in there as the client and Mike is the project manager running the website, you had an hour and you're watching the clock in the boardroom because there's another meeting coming in. Peter's got a sales meeting coming in. Lenny's got a client meeting coming in. So you're using that space, but you're renting that time.
Yeah.
Now, all you have is your time in your computer because, you're sitting in your office at home because that's the remote hybrid model now.
Yeah.
And it's like you start talking like this, and we've done even on this podcast, and you've messaged me while I'm ranting, and you're like, I have to go pick up my children. And I look down, I go, holy Christ, we've
Yeah.
already talked an hour and 15 minutes. Now translate that into a meeting. So some tips right away, I'm just going to throw it based on my failures and my poor time efficiency, nobody else's. Number one, if you book that meeting for an hour or 30 minutes, keep the customer, the internal team member, your boss, whatever, accountable to the time that you've agreed upon, because there has to be a stop. Because we look at it and say like, oh, there's nothing on the calendar, or, oh, well, let's just go a few minutes over. Well, a few minutes turns to 30 minutes, 30 minutes turns to an hour. And all of a sudden you're going, well, Christina wanted to talk to me at 9 a.m. for 15 minutes. Now it's 11:20 and I've got nothing done. And this was my morning to get production work done. This was my morning to get AR caught up. This was my morning to go and revisit proposals that people aren't responding to. And now you've lost that time. And then to your point, you look at your calendar and now Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you got 7 hours of meetings and you have no time. And now you're working at 10 o'clock at night when the kids go to bed to catch up. That's just time efficiency. So you got to stay accountable to your times. You've got to be able to say, we're done. Because we're Christina's talking and we don't want to let Christina go. Well, Christina will keep talking until Mike says, Christina, that's enough. It's just the truth, because you're giving people a platform to talk and it's okay. But your time is valuable and they have only booked a certain amount of time. They didn't book a full day with you.
Yeah.
Number two, get that damn iPhone or Android, or in some cases on Instagram, you'll see those widgets that you can have that are time trackers. And, I've started, seriously, I have a little stand here, even though nobody can see me because we're not doing video, but I have a stand and I put it in front of me and I've been putting the timer on now because I am bad at that, because I am so focused on who I'm talking to. I want to sell them. I want to help them. I want to give them my attention, but I can't be doing a half an hour extra on every call. So now I'm putting a timer that is below the screen and below the camera saying like, Mike, you're at 50 minutes. So no different than doing an open forum where Mike Monahan and Cheryl say, you got 8 minutes. They're going to keep it 8 minutes. So what do you do for yourself? You put a clock on saying, I got to hit 8 minutes. Well, I got an hour with Christina and I have to hit that hour. And if we're not done, Christina, I'm sorry, our time is up. We're going to have to book a part 2 here, and we'll continue this, but you have to book more time next week, tomorrow, or whatever. But I've got other clients, other internal needs. My MS Teams is blowing up because Emily and Karen and everybody else, need me. You need to be everywhere as the ops manager, and you can't be wasting time because your eyes are required everywhere. So those are 2 things right away that I have failed at and done. And also assessing, and I'm going to give a big shout out to my digital marketing director at our agency, Stuart, because Stuart always challenges me. And I mean that in a good way, because, but he always says, what's the intent? And I used to get mad at him. I think I mentioned this on episode 1 or 2, whether we kept it in or not. But he says, like, what's the intent? At the beginning, I was like, the intent is get it done. But that's Angry Mike. But what I learned over time in understanding Stuart's style, and this is meant with the utmost respect for the man, is he's challenging me because he's like, is this really important? And it took a long time for me to click, but he's right. Is this going to move the needle? Is it really warranted? Does it require a meeting? Because this is the theme now, is everything's got to be a meeting. Hey, Christina, you haven't paid your $25 invoice and your credit card's expired. Can you just fill out this form? Hey, Mike, let's get on a quick call. There's no need for a call. Just fill out the damn form. But that's what we do now, right? Is everything becomes a meeting, 15, 30, 45 minutes or an hour, and no meeting stays on time. And then, like we said, now you're in ops hell because you're 4 hours behind. You only had 6 hours this week to get shit done. And now you're scrambling like crazy. And now you're burning yourself out 11 o'clock at night when you should be spending time with family or going to sleep. And we've all done that.
Well, and okay, so here's the flip side of that too, where this kind of notion that everything needs to be a meeting. What drives me crazy as an ops person is exactly that in terms of everything needs to be a meeting. I'm stuck on this deliverable that I'm working on. So I'm going to create a meeting for the people that need to help me out on this, and I'm going to put it in a calendar. No. Pick up the phone and call whoever you need to call and solve the problem immediately. I think there is this, like, to your point about I need help filling out a form or I need whatever. Absolutely. Do not book a meeting to help someone fill out a form ever. Let that be a red flag to you. But like in the same sense, I do feel, and I am going to sound like such a old person. Shout out to the old people listening. But
Emily,
like,
this is where you add in the creaking noise from the Tin Man on Wizard of Oz, and it's Christina's joints needing to be oiled.
yeah, or the librarian from Hilarious House of Frankenstein.
Can we talk? Can we just stop? Because I love these tangents. I don't care if anybody else understands this, but I'm going to say because I'm still enamored with this. So everybody, me and Christina use each other in the evenings as literally therapy. We send these 2-3 minute notes where it's literally like, this is the worst day ever. I want to jump off a mountain. Christina says, Mike, don't do that. I say, thank you, Christina. And she says, you're welcome. But I was talking to Christina and her ass-kicking lady friend, Emily. Shout out Emily again. I was trying to describe themes that I wanted for this podcast with Christina so that we could make this different than other podcasts, just a change of pace. And I sent her an audio clip saying, I've got this idea of this kind of chaotic randomness of characters and stories and themes, like this show I used to watch that came out of the late 80s called The Hilarious House of Frightenstein by Billy Van. And anybody that's of that age or older will maybe know what I'm talking about. But I thought in my head, after I sent it, I'm like, no one's, Christina's younger than I am. Emily is far younger than I am. And I'm like, no one's going to know this. Christina comes back and, please, now you got to come in here now because this is where I love this.
No, it's true. So my dad and I used to watch this, and I was obviously a little girl, and I never have found anyone who ever even heard of this show, let alone watched it or would reference it. So there you go. But what I will say,
Pop's best friends, everyone.
Pop's best friends. If you want to build a relationship with someone, if you have a friend that you just want to be even better friends with, start a podcast with them.
Start a podcast with them.
Just start a podcast with them. Now you have this accountability where you have to talk every week and you have to be in communication. But like, as goofy as that sounds, I will now reference Peter's my Peter's podcast, the Tourism AI Network podcast, who he does with his friend Josh. Josh is from Northeastern United States. They just love each other, big bromance. And I was the one who said to them, I'm like, why don't you just because Peter did it solo. I'm like, bring Josh into your podcast. He's a real smart guy. You guys do it. And now they talk every week, 7 a.m. on Thursdays, get their podcast done. And they're just even closer than they've ever been before. So if you have a friend, do a podcast with them, whether it sees the light of day or not, whatever, but it'll be fun.
I almost peed my pants when you came back and you're like, oh my God. You're like, I love Hilarious House of Frankenstein. My favorite one is, what did you say? It was the Wolfman DJ? You're the Wolfman DJ, and I'm the disgruntled, like, geriatric librarian who hits the dusty bird on his chair with the cane. I don't know why that guy tickled me growing up, but it was just like, probably because I'm Oscar the Grouch and he was that crotchety, miserable. You could tell he's on his last breath. And I'm like, that's relatable to me. And of course, you're like, oh, listen to the tunes. I'm the Wolfman.
Anyway.
But again, that show has, in a stupid, weird way, has brought us closer together. And to your point, I've never met anybody in my life that ever gave that show a damn. And I thought it was, reruns of something from the 80s that shows up at like 4:00 in the morning. I got nothing else to show. And you're like, yep, that was my childhood with my dad. And I'm like, that was like one of my favorite shows growing up.
So wild.
I'm telling you, watch out the things we're going to learn about each other. Wait till we start assessing our psychometric testing. Christina's putting me through some testing for maybe next week's episode. And we're really going to learn how similar we are. And what's scary is she's far more lovely and probably smarter than I am, but we are ironically very similar.
It is
very.
It's a bizarro world Mario and Wario.
Well, you know what? If Peter Pilarski didn't have your eye when he saw you and put you through the testing, I could have run the test for him, and I would have crossed all the boxes. And Peter, you could have had a very different future, buddy. Wouldn't be two babies in a business; it'd be two men doing something stupid. But
There you go.
there you go.
Okay. Old. We started here because we're old.
Sorry, away from Hilarious House of Frightenstein, but from going back to this with the time tracking, is not time tracking, the meetings thing and time management is you have to make sure, and this is no different also with even communications. If you're too fast to respond, if you give too much, if you're too lax, and that doesn't mean being militant and assertive to the point where you're not accommodating your customer and talk, especially even your staff, because they deserve time. But you have to control your schedule, because 40 hours in the work week is not enough to run ops. It's just not. You are in client facing, internal facing. You have to work. You are not sitting there just observing QuickBooks saying, oh, everything is rosy. You have so much to do, especially for the ICs that don't have larger teams where accountability can be at manager levels. So you have to maximize time on whatever's moving the needle for your business. So how do you maximize time? You have to control it. And meetings will chew up your entire week if you let them. And another thing I learned and did, and I've told this to a couple of colleagues that were, in the meetings Armageddon, was I have at least one day a week, which is called the F off day, on purpose. I call it, my F off day. And that's simply because that's my work day. It literally says in my calendar, work day. And I do not allow at least one day a week. You cannot book me in meetings because I need time. Yeah. Mondays and Tuesdays are very, very meetings and work and client heavy. Yeah. Wednesday is my F off day because I need to catch up, because I'm running out of steam come Thursday, Friday, and I can't leave everything till 2 p.m. on Friday. Say, okay, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. I'll catch up before the weekend. That's suicide. Yeah. So I found that day is the first day to say, there's 25 things piling up. Let's chop 12 down. And I've so much done, to your point. If I don't have that kind of week where it's really customer facing, meeting heavy, I will book almost 2 days a week to be F off days, because one, I need my mental energy through the entire 5-day week. And two, I have to get shit done.
Well, and what I will say to those things, and I am bad for this, is when you do book, mine just say do not book. They don't say F off, but maybe I should.
Okay, let me clarify. I don't, it doesn't say on my calendar, hey, WSI, fuck off. This is my day off. No, it just says work time. I'm telling you, that's what I call it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, angry ops night. That's how I tell everybody how my calendar works. Fuck off on Wednesdays.
So, but it's keeping that time, because I think that sometimes, especially, when I think about myself first in this agency, it's so easy to just cancel. Oh, it's just time for me. But maybe this sounds cliche, maybe it's whatever, but you need to put yourself first. You wouldn't cancel lunch on your best friend. You wouldn't cancel that important meeting on someone you love and care about. And so don't cancel it on yourself. It's something that my business coach has said to me, because I'm notorious for moving that time or putting something else in or prioritizing someone else, or, oh, I was going to deal with this, but now I'm going to deal with that. It's I have to sometimes say, okay, I wouldn't cancel that date night with Peter. And he's pretty important, but I obviously am my own self's most important person. So why am I canceling the day that I would put aside for myself, for my stuff, and giving it to someone else? So it's that mentality of, you cannot cancel that time. That is the first thing that ends up going on a chopping block when you're stressed out. And then all it does is add to your stress. Because now you didn't accomplish what
you're not putting your best foot forward for the days after, with the clients that you already have booked with you, the team members that need your focus, your eyes, your mentorship, or whatever it may be, because that 25 that's behind the tasks now is 35. And once you get into that trap, it's weeks, if not, months to try to catch up. And then you're down that vicious spiral of just, ops chaos, which we all know can happen in a moment's notice. So again, you need to have that time for yourself. And also, again, we've all got families, whether you have kids, whether you have a wife, whether you have a significant other, whatever it may be, but you have a life. And
Yeah.
take it from the WSI ops lifer over here that has dedicated every minute of the last 15 years to drive ops forward. And I've made a lot of mistakes with that and a lot of sacrifices. And, my wife wants time with me. My Peter says, Mike, get offline. And I say, no. You've got to find that balance because again, we're going to talk about burnout in a completely different podcast episode. But burnout is a real thing. It's a real thing in digital marketing. And if you don't find that balance, whether it's work life or day to task fulfillment or meetings, you're going to really harm yourself. And then you're going to start wondering why client retention starts to be affected because now you're not focused on those people that really need you and expected that SLA, expected that turnaround because now you've lost control of your calendar because again, you're allowing meetings and your time efficiency to not be controlled by you.
It's true.
And again, it does. These are just tips on how to do it. But like, I'll tell you another story really, really quickly. This is just one from a couple of weeks ago. Had a proposal meeting for a new client on a Friday at 4:00. That's when they can meet us. Okay, no problem. Got on the call and went through it. It ended up being a 2-hour proposal president. You would think, oh, that's nuts. It was a great meeting, but I chose to go an hour longer than what we allocated because I had signs that, they were really invested. So I'm like, I'll give them the extra time.
Right.
Well, we're 3.5 weeks since that meeting and have they signed?
Yeah.
Are they a client? No. And it's nothing wrong with that. My point being is I gave them too much time that's not billable.
Yeah.
They could likely have taken that time and the knowledge and extra insights and education I gave and just robbed me blind and gone to their existing supplier that I'm trying to get rid of and saying, well, look at all this stuff we got and here it is.
Totally.
Whereas again, if I would have been more focused, maybe more concise and more assertive to when I stop and start, I maybe would have had them chasing me and now I'm chasing them for an answer.
Right.
And also it's Friday night at 6:00 and I'm still getting off a meeting and now I got to debrief the meeting. I got to transcribe the meeting. I got to send the revised proposal. So I got off that night at 7:45. And now my wife's like, well, there's no dinner. You've missed dinner. This is our time together. You should be resting after a week. And I'm still sitting doing ops hell because again, I just didn't manage my time correctly because I'm putting other people ahead of myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Mike's an idiot. Don't do what Mike does.
Don't do what Mike does. Okay, 2 points. 2 points from that though. I definitely have these ebbs and flows of I need to be in everything and I don't need to be in everything, right? Like I feel like that is the ultimate kind of like two sides of ops. Like I need to be, or no, I don't. My unlock for the team, and this is, the AI plug of the podcast, throw your team in Otter or insert whatever meeting subscription minus Zoom. Sorry, don't love the Zoom meeting transcription, meeting summaries at all. But you get spit out as the ops person the meeting summary. So let's say Kendall from my team had a meeting. She's one of our absolute superstar PMs. So she runs, I don't go to her meetings unless she tells me, unless she says, look, I need you to come into this client. So she's running those meetings. Then pops up in my inbox, the summary, this, that. My ultimate favorite thing I scroll to, I don't care what the deliverables are. That's for my PM to deal with. I go to the tone, meeting tone. So Otter will spit out tone of the meeting, and that is all I look at.
Angry, frustrated, doesn't trust you, wants to cancel, angry.
Right? Or collaborative, problem solve. Like it's really interesting the words it spits out, and it tells you a lot about the meeting, a lot about your project manager. So from an ops people management perspective, one of the number one things that I see in Kendall's are collaborative problem solving with the client. Great discussion around problems and so it's like, I know what Kendall's doing. Or, then if you see a sentiment that is exactly that, angry.
Dumpster fire, alarm, alert, be in next meeting.
It's like now I can go to my team right away and go, ooh, sounds like something crazy happened. Fill me in. So that to me has been my ultimate unlock to not have to attend everything and now not get buried in meeting notes. Because it's like, so we write all of our I'm using air quotes, notes in.
Everybody can see it.
Everyone. In Asana. So that's like our project management system. So if you go into messages, that's all the notes. So if I get hit by a bus, you know that I had a meeting with so-and-so and this is what they said. Well, as the ops person, obviously I'm getting copied on all of these notes. I don't have time to read them all.
No.
But again, now my unlock is go to the sentiment of these meetings.
Yeah.
And either feel great or not. My other piece of this whole thing is I feel like the other balance beam of ops is emails or meetings.
No kidding.
Do you want to fill your life with emails or do you want to fill your life with meetings? And there's this like constant struggle to balance the two. So
my entire life is drafting emails. Like I swear to God, all I do is write emails all day. Like my fingers can type so well because all I do is type.
So I feel like a lot of ICs obviously in that supplier life. I feel like a lot of emails go to suppliers and go to one-offs about clients. Our unlock for that has been monthly supplier meetings. So I'm going to shout out Marilise in the Unibit team, which is a team that we just absolutely adore and we utilize for many, many things. I would say early in our relationship, there were some emails piling up. There were some misses. Both teams are working on a ton of shit. And, obviously different time zones. So we're flying past each other during critical points. And we all put our heads together. Marilise, who is the ops person over there, and we said, how do we fix this? So we have a monthly stand up with them that's early in the morning for us, end of the day for them. And we go through every client together. And some of them are whatever, nope, status quo, keep going. But it has been an amazing, I think I've said unlock 1,000 times. So maybe the drinking game for the show is every time Christina says unlock, take a drink.
Can we do the next episode where every time you say that, you'll be absolutely plastered about 25 minutes in? And the best part about it is you're 2 hours behind me, so you'll be drunk on work time.
Oh my God. Anyways, so it's been good because now I know like there will be times where I'm like, oh, I should email Marilise this idea. Or, oh, I just got out of this team meeting and we really want to talk to Marilise's team about podcast production. I'm going to just start an email now. And actually the other day, it was Emily who I said, do you want me to start driver, right? The D in my personality. I'll write an email right now. We'll get this one. And she's like, let's just mention it to them in our monthly meeting. This doesn't need to be an email. This can be a quick conversation then. And for me, that has been, again, now this dichotomy between meetings and emails, but it's like I can have some efficient supplier-led meetings. So if you're an IC who uses suppliers, meet with them, make them meet with you. I think sometimes we think, oh, we can't meet with them. They're somewhere else. They're not. You are the boss. Meet with them. Make them part of your team. And that has just done volumes for my relationship with that whole supplier network.
I couldn't agree more in the sense of, just talking about how to leverage meetings smarter now. Like with AI, obviously the push of AI and so many things out there. If you're an IC at an agency in any capacity that is not using these transcription tools, you absolutely have to make this investment. Again, I was slow to adopt it as well. Big names like Otter and others, and what's the right one and so forth. We ended up going with the transcription add-on for MS Teams because everything we do is through MS Teams. Right. And I've been very, very Denise Bowen from Web ROI Blue Ocean. She gave me a very big vote of confidence, saying she was very happy with the output and the accuracy of it. So that told me to go and invest. And it has absolutely changed my day. Why I'm saying is like you said, notes for ownership on things, notes for other team members, transitioning discovery meetings to a project manager so that they're not like, what the hell am I building now? And you spent 6 months trying to sell this website. The other thing I will absolutely say with those tools also is just simply when you're recording it like that, look, especially in today's world where you're on virtual, you are trying to feverishly type notes, write notes. and you're not paying attention to the person's on the screen, right? Because you're trying to multitask on top of having 3 screens and an email and everything else.
Yeah.
And then you go back, right? Because nobody sits there and says, well, I'm going to do a summary and a recap, 5 minutes after the meeting. You do it the next day, the day after, whenever you got that ops time.
Yeah.
And you forget everything that meeting happened. And now you're trying to sit in an email and you're trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. And it's not fair to the customer that just gave you an hour worth of their time and spewed their life story of their business to you, and you're trying to help put a strategy together. Put that transcription on and don't worry about what's said and what you retain. Focus your eyes on the person, just like you're in that boardroom leaning in, and just have that conversation. Let the transcription record everything, and then take that transcription and say, summarize it, analyze it, give me the key points, give me the action items, and give me who's accountable. Spit it out, read it once. The accuracy is about 90%. Finagle a couple of things and send it out as an email. So now you've cut down on the email time of trying to put something intelligent together. Number 2, you captured everything that customer said to you. So there's no more like, how do I figure out a headline? How do I figure out the unique value proposition? What do they say? Did they say they're commercial or residential? You have everything. And then you can put it on your SharePoint server or on your Asana or whatever. And now, again, God forbid, so-and-so gets hit by a bus. These transcripts are there. And then the next person to get caught up saying, holy Christ, I've got pages and pages and pages of insights to take this on versus Peter's or Mike's or Christina's chicken scratch for whatever my brain interpolated to put down. Now you have something much more objective. So for meetings, transcribe, especially if you're in this virtual meeting space, get one of these tools. It will change everything for how you navigate meetings, and it will actually make you more efficient. And the last point I'll make is, when you use the transcriptions, you summarize them. If you've got your own GPT that has your voice or tone, you put it together and you send it out. I can't believe the engagement and response rate I'm getting compared to the emails I did before. Not that I was ever a bad writer, but
No.
like I would have to follow up. I'm sending one email to somebody and they're coming back to me in 30 minutes saying, here's the stuff you need. I'm coming back saying, here's the proposal signed. So they're more receptive because I think the accuracy of my summary, the accuracy of my next steps are aligned with what I promised you on this call 4 days ago. And I'm not just, what do we talk about and what's going on? So, AI is there. And this is a very small way to make a massive improvement in your meetings efficiency, your time efficiency, the accuracy of your notes, and the notes and information you need to carve out strategy and then ops execution.
Yeah.
Boom, punchline.
It's true. It's true. I agree.
Now, because you got to go, because you have responsibilities like picking up children so that they're not out in the Alberta snow and cold.
True.
Exactly. So I'm going to end you off with a really quick, funny story of what happened today. So the open forum was today, and my buddy and older brother, Eric Cook, was talking about AI. So I sidebarred him in Skype and gave him a sexually provocative message at how I was really excited watching him on camera. I do this with other people. It's just the way I'm weird. As long as they're my friends and they understand the themes.
Perfect.
But then I went into the open forum chat, and under anonymous, I wrote in the chat, I'm like, Eric Cook is a sexy beast of a digital marketer. Rima comes in and replies, what a great comment. This will make his day. And I'm sitting there trickled. And so I screenshot it and I send it to Eric and Skype. And I said, I wonder who anonymous is. And he comes back to me and he goes, you crazy fucker, love it. And then he sends me a screen cap of a text message between him and President Valerie. And I'm going to read it because there's nothing in here that's going to get anybody in trouble. And she says, great segment. Thank you. Here's a comment that came up in the Q&A. Did you log in as anonymous? And he shows the post and he goes, guess who that is? Any thoughts? She writes back right away, Mike G, question mark. He writes back with an emoticon, hot dog, we have a wiener. She writes back with a laugh. He goes, how did you know? She goes, I know that you guys have a bromance going on.
So cute.
So one, Val, love you that you finally figured out that I'm a moron. And two, Eric, I love you, buddy. You're a rock star. You're an AI wizard. And that's why you are the agency of the year, my friend.
He runs great meetings too. I've done some work with him.
But can we also, sorry to interrupt, can we also say Eric had a great point in workplace about, again, meetings and AI. Some of these tools do not turn off just because you leave the meeting. And if your customers or your suppliers are still in that, they're still running. And Eric said, some people get off a call and go, God, thank God Christina's done. Like, I can't take any more of this shit, and she's an idiot. That's recorded. And then some of these tools like Otter say, here's your transcription. Everybody was on the call, and now you've got internal jargon going on that should never go on ears. So the great tip by the master Eric Cook: make sure your AI transcription or recording tools are turned off, unfollowed, or leave the chat if you're leaving it, because don't let anybody sit there starting to spew venom thinking it's a private setting. And then it goes back to your high value $10,000 a month customer, and they saying, well, that's how you really feel about me, Christina. And you're like, don't need that.
No, I have a story. I gotta get my kids, but
you have children.
Quickly. We did. So we used to do something called the Rocky Mountain Social Summit. So it was like our big conference that we'd run once a year. COVID destroyed it. Thank you, COVID. Anyways, we collaborated with another agency on this one, and they were supposed to show up to a meeting with one of our key sponsors, key speakers. Actually, the key speaker was Marty Greif, who used to be one of the suppliers in the network. Anyways, him and Peter stayed on, again, recorded meeting, and there were some words said about the other agency who had not stepped up to the plate. Like, I mean, in hindsight, they didn't step up to the plate and probably deserved a good smack in the face, because we're organizing this whole thing and they're supposed to be co-organizers. Anyways, Christina, who assumes the best of her business partner and key speaker, the other owner said, oh, sorry, we missed the meeting. Can you just forward that conversation? Did you record it? Can you forward it to us? So I just forwarded it to them. I didn't know that anything bad was said about them in it. And well, spoiler alert, was a very hard conversation after that.
Technology is great, everybody, but technology comes with its quirks and its flaws. Be mindful, like head office says, AI is a tool, but we are the people that have to be the lens to vet it. And just because it makes things easier, you have to review what you're putting out before you hit the send button, no matter when you hit the send button. That's the biggest takeaway we can give you. And hopefully this will make some of your meetings a little bit easier. And remember, control and respect your time. That's the only thing we have at the end of the day to run ops.
I thought you were going to say.
So, Christina, since your children are going to childcare services because they're in the cold right now, I got to get you out of here. So, on that note, did we solve anything?
No, we did not.
Okay. See you next week.
Good luck, buddy.
This angry ops guy just needs to unplug.
Here we go again.
You leave the longest messages. My mom made me listen to the whole thing. You're so long. Are you tall or bald?